Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Noor Aisha. This is the part 2 of microbiology video. In the part 1 I have talked on introduction to microbiology and the 5 major foodborne microorganisms, which is virus, bacteria, fungi, algae and protozoa. In this video, I am going to talk on characteristics of microorganisms, growth of bacteria, a brief note, and factors affecting the growth of microorganisms and control of microbial growth in foods. Let's start with the characteristics of microorganisms. Microorganisms, in terms of nutrition, acquire their nourishment by any of the following 3 methods. First method is by feeding on dead and decaying organic matter. Such microorganisms are called saprophytes, which is bacteria, yeast and more. Second method of nourishment of microorganisms is by feeding on living host cells. Such microorganisms thrive at the expense of host and are called parasites. Virus, some bacteria, some fungi and protozoa are parasitic on plants and animals. Third method of nourishment is by manufacturing their own food, which is green algae contain chlorophyll and can produce their own food by the process of photosynthesis, just like plants. In terms of respiration, on the basis of oxygen requirements, these microorganisms are classified into 3 broad categories: aerobes, anaerobes, and facultative organisms. Aerobes, these microorganisms use oxygen to release energy from food. For example, algae, protozoa, and some bacteria like Salmonella, which causes typhoid. Second group of microorganisms are anaerobes. These microorganisms obtain their energy without oxygen. For example, viruses, some fungi and bacteria, such as Clostridium, which causes food poisoning. Third group of microorganisms are facultative organisms. They can respire either aerobically or anaerobically, like Shigella, which causes bacillary dysentery, and Staphylococci, which causes food poisoning. Most microorganisms are harmless to humans. The metabolic waste produced by parasitic microorganisms like viruses, bacteria, fungi, and protozoa are toxic to living cells. These poisons or toxins produce the symptoms of disease such as fever, inflammation, headache, nausea, and gastrointestinal upsets. Let me talk on growth of bacteria. True growth is defined as an orderly increase in all cell constituents. However, microbial growth is measured in terms of increase in cell number. The time period which lapses between two successive cell divisions is called generation time. It varies in different organisms. The environmental conditions available also determine the time required for cell division. Many common methods of preserving food and keeping it fit for consumption depend not only on the destruction or removal of microorganism but on delay in the initiation of growth phase and hindrance to growth once it has begun. Most microorganisms, when added to food, multiply at a very rapid rate under favorable conditions. A single bacterial cell divides into two every 20 to 30 minutes. If the rate of multiplication is maintained, a single cell will produce 1 billion new cells after a period of 10 hours. If the logarithms of the number of organisms per ml and the time in hours is plotted on a graph, it is observed that the rate of multiplication is not maintained indefinitely, but 4 distinct phases of growth are observed. The initial phase is called the lag phase. The second phase is called exponential growth phase or logarithmic growth phase. Third phase is called stationary phase, and the last phase is death phase. Various environmental conditions affect the growth and multiplication of microbes. The important factors which have an influence on growth are food and nutrients, pH level, water activity, temperature, oxygen, time, osmotic pressure, and sunlight or ultraviolet rays. Food serves as a substrate for microbes. They use our food supply as a source of nutrients for their growth. When the food supply is exhausted or conditions are unfavorable, the bacteria form spores or die. Most bacteria prefer a neutral pH between 6.5 to 7.5, but some can grow at a low or high pH. Molds and yeast grow better in an acidic medium, of pH 4 to 4.5 as compared to bacteria. In general, foods with an acidic pH have a better keeping quality like curds, pickles and fruits. Molds can tolerate a wider difference in pH than yeast and bacteria. Foods containing buffers, that is substances which resist the change in pH, permit more microbial activity than food without buffers. Milk proteins are good buffers and allow lactic acid bacteria to grow considerably without suppressing their growth. Coming to water activity, as water accounts for a large percentage of the weight of the cell, it is absolutely necessary for growth of all microorganisms. Water or moist conditions encourage the growth of most microorganisms. Therefore, food should be stored in well ventilated, dry, and cool storage areas and not in a humid kitchen. The growth of microorganisms depends on the available moisture and not total amount of moisture. Coming to temperature, high and low temperatures have a significant influence on microbial growth. At high temperatures above 65 degrees Celsius, microorganisms are destroyed, and at lower temperature, their growth is retarded, which is below 5 degrees Celsius. Each organism has an optimum temperature at which it grows best. It also has minimum temperature below which it cannot grow and a maximum temperature above which it cannot grow. Organisms having an optimum temperature below 20 degrees Celsius are called psychrophilic organisms. For example, Pseudomonas. They grow at refrigerated temperature and some grow on frozen foods. One more factor which affect the growth of microorganism is oxygen. Oxygen is necessary for all aerobic microorganisms. Anaerobic microorganisms do not require it, and it may even be toxic to certain anaerobic microorganisms. Molds and most yeast grow best in the presence of oxygen, while bacteria may be aerobic, anaerobic or facultative. Pathogens may grow better in inadequately ventilated areas than in airy places. When comes to time, if microorganisms are given a favorable environment in terms of temperature, moisture and nourishment, they multiply rapidly, and in a short span of time they would have multiplied to numbers large enough to cause harm. Foods often contain small number of pathogenic microorganisms which multiply rapidly and can cause foodborne illness after such food is consumed. Food which is consumed as soon as it is cooked is at a lower risk of causing food poisoning. The osmotic pressure of food varies with the kind and amount of solute dissolved in food. The amount of sugar or salt in solution has an osmotic effect on microorganisms. This is because of the semi-permeable nature of the cell. If a bacterial cell is kept in a hypotonic solution, a hypotonic solution is a solution having an osmotic pressure lower than that of the bacterial cell. Then water from the surrounding media will enter the cell, resulting in swelling. If the difference in osmotic pressure is still more, the cell bursts. This phenomenon is known as plasmapheresis. The last factor is sunlight or ultraviolet rays. Microbial growth is encouraged in dark, humid places and not in well-lit and naturally ventilated places. This is because ultraviolet rays are present in sunlight. These rays destroy microorganisms. They are used to purify air in food storage areas and for surface sterilization of certain foods like meat and cheese. Microbial growth in foods can be controlled in a number of ways. When the conditions necessary for bacterial growth are not available, growth and multiplication will be restricted. Most common method of preventing microorganisms growth in food is controlling temperature. Most microorganisms require a warm temperature to multiply. Pathogenic microorganisms grow and multiply best at normal body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. It has seen that maximum number of microbes multiply between the temperature range of 5 degrees Celsius and 63 degrees Celsius. This temperature range is known as danger zone. Multiplication slows down towards both ends of the danger zone. In cold preservation, microbes are not destroyed. Their growth rate is retarded, and so their number in food is controlled. In high temperature, the microorganisms are destroyed by denaturation of cell proteins and inactivation of enzymes needed by them for their metabolism. Removal of oxygen can stop aerobic microorganisms from growing. This can be done by packing foods in airtight containers or vacuum packing of foods as in canned foods. Adding chemical preservatives, these substances retard deterioration of food by preventing microbial growth. The use of class 2 preservatives has been restricted by law. If these preservatives are used in foods, they should be mentioned on the label. Preservatives may be added to food. They may be applied on the surface of foods. Wrappers may be impregnated with preservatives. Ice used to chill foods may contain an antibiotic which is permitted preservative, or they may be used as a gas around food. Another most common method of preserving food is reducing the moisture content. The moisture content of foods like milk is reduced by evaporation, dehydration, or desiccation of the food. The microorganisms survive in such foods, but they remain dormant. When such foods are rehydrated, the microorganisms become active once again. Class 1 preservatives like sugar and salt are natural substances that bind water which is present in the food and make it unavailable to microorganisms like bacteria. Exposure to ultraviolet rays. Ultraviolet rays are lethal to bacteria. They have poor penetrating power and can be used only for surface sterilization or for sterilizing the air in a room. They are used to control mold growth on the surface of bakery products and to prevent spoilage of meat while tenderizing and aging. Please guys, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video, and like, share and comment. Thank you.